The problem is people can be very successful, and then they get to my stage of my life, and you look up and you say, is that all there is? You know?
Welcome to the Tip the Scales podcast, where we discuss running and growing your law firm. I'm your host, Maria Monroy, president and co-founder of LawRank. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, Rex Parris. I don't even know how to explain this. I have imposter syndrome. I can't believe that some of these super successful lawyers agree to do this with me. But we talked about looking back on life, encouraging hard work, surrounding yourself with people smarter than you, bonding with the opposition. We talked about him being mayor, and we talked about eye contact, which I found fascinating, and I want to learn more about this. I hope that you guys enjoy this episode. Rex Parris, you don't need an introduction. You think you do?
Come on, give me an introduction.
All right. So I'm here with Rex Parris, who...
Rex Parris, excuse me.
Huh?
Rex Parris.
It's Rex Parris?
Yeah.
But doesn't the R just roll into the next R?
It's Rex Parris.
Yeah, but...
No, it doesn't.
So I have to call you Rex?
Only in the introduction. After that, it can be Rex.
Okay, so...
Although some people call me your worship, but you don't have to do that.
Okay, well, I can do that. I'm okay with that. So I stand corrected. I'm here with Rex Parris. Welcome. I'm
Thank
so
you.
honored. I can't believe you agreed to do this.
Why would I not agree to do this?
Because it was so last minute. So I just interviewed Kale Parris. Is there an R in there?
No, that...
No?
No.
Okay.
But I am responsible for naming him Kale.
You are, like the vegetable.
No, it was after Mikhail Gorbachev.
I mean, I'm sure.
But my wife would not tolerate me naming him Mikhail because, he's a communist. But,
It's a good reason.
So we compromised and named him Kale, which I never would have done again. But
because of the salad?
No, I was thinking that I wanted to name the kids names that people would remember.
Right? I remember Kale. And you spell it interestingly.
Yeah.
You don't spell it like kale salad.
No, not like a kale.
No.
I don't really like kale, the salad. So
Nobody does. Oh, I've also met Rutger, and I really he's hard to forget. I'm sure he wouldn't remember me, but I remember him.
Yeah.
He's just memorable, Good. Such a character. And I had never met Kale. And he's also very memorable in a very different way, but also very memorable.
Salt and pepper, aren't they?
Yeah. That it must be still to this day really cool to watch and you work with both of them, right?
Yes.
What's that like?
Every day is a blessing of unimaginable proportions.
Because they say that most of our time spent with our kids is when they're little. But in situations like yours, or I talked about this with Gary Dordick, you guys actually get to spend time with your kids as adults.
Yes, it's totally reversed.
Which is so magical.
It is.
What's it like going to trial with him?
I mean, really breathtaking. It's literally breathtaking. And, it's always a teaching experience for them and for me. But to watch them develop, and watch them become men. It's very difficult to describe, but I'll literally be in the hallway, in a break and watching them walk down the hallway, and it just takes my breath away. Literally takes it away. I did that.
Yeah, that must be really... And now they have kids, so now you have grandkids.
8 grandkids.
Wow, I didn't know it was that many. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Much better than kids.
Oh, I bet. I bet. You get to send them back home at the end of the day.
And they're 10 to 8 months.
Wow.
So each one of them is a different experience.
Do you have a favorite?
I would never admit to it.
Do you have a favorite child?
That depends on the month.
Okay.
and they know it,
Really? For me, it depends on the hour. Mine are 11, 9, and 6, so definitely very dependent on...
They say there's always one who is on the out,
Yeah. It's
I don't know if that's true, but I can certainly see why they think that.
So whenever I speak at conferences, I always ask people raise your hands if you have kids. And I'm like, keep your hands up if you have multiple kids. keep your hands up if you have a favorite child. And a lot of people keep their hands up.
Probably not a good idea.
Why? I think it's normal to have an affinity towards
I
someone.
think that's probably true. I also think it changes.
Oh, absolutely. For me, it really does change by the hour.
But I think it's very, very painful and harmful to the other children to think that.
But it's just also part of life, no? Like, not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to feel the same way about you.
I come from an abused background, extremely abused.
Physically or emotionally?
Both. I was the omega of the group in the family. You know,
how many kids?
4. And so it's a deeper reality to me. It's something I strove very hard not to allow to happen.
I'm sorry.
You know, look where I am.
But
whatever got me on there, don't change a thing.
But do you think that shaped you? Because I come from so my parents, I think I told you this, like my parents are from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And in Mexico, it's perfectly acceptable to hit children. Okay. So not only was
my wife believed that too, by the way.
The things that my parents did, I would consider physical abuse.
Mm-hmm.
In Mexico, it's just like you would get spanked. Like it's nothing out of the ordinary, right? In my situation, there was also what I would consider emotional abuse. So I relate. But I do think that it was those things that made me who I am today and made me driven and successful. Do you see that or no?
Yeah, I do.
And I do see it in I think everyone that I've ever met that is very successful, that I have had deep conversations with, they all have some sort of trauma from childhood that drove the success. So it's kind of hard because for me, I'm always thinking of like, how do I create adversity for my children without it being so extreme, right? And I worry, without the adversity, will they be successful? And maybe you can speak to it because you had this adversity and your kids had a different upbringing that you did, I assume, and look at how successful your kids are. Or like, at least Kale was just telling me about his, $50-some million verdict.
Depends on how you measure success. If you're measuring it financially, of course, there's no question, that we've achieved that. But do I view myself as successful? Probably not. Probably not.
In what regard?
It's just now I'm learning to have fun. It's just now what happens in that is you are, the wind in your sails is the adversity, is the negativity, the turmoil. It becomes the wind in your sail. And pretty soon you believe that's the only way to achieve success. And I've learned that frequently I would create that turmoil simply because I needed motivation to keep moving, What I'm learning now is that's not necessary. I don't need that to continue to achieve, to continue to produce, I think I would have been more successful if I'd learned that sooner. I'm aware of what I've accomplished. I had the first net zero city in the world. I'll have the first hydrogen powered city in the world. I have biotechs that will significantly improve our health span, significantly, like certainly beyond the 100-year mark. We know that. We have those. It's close to the market. Department of Defense knows that. They funded one of them, it's coming. But do I consider that I was successful? The success I have is those children, But did I enjoy those children growing up? I didn't even know them. It was working every single moment, it seemed like. And I think if I had it to do over again, it would be different, and I would not have achieved as much. See what happens when you interview me at 6:00? My bandwidth is shot, and I actually give you real answers.
No, that's just a lot for me to take in, just because I leave my kids so much,
it's difficult for me to be in groups of people. You wouldn't know it. You don't think so. I put on a very good face when I do it, but it's very difficult for me. Like when we have Thanksgiving, stuff like that, I love to hear their laughter in the other room. I love to hear them playing games, but I'm only in for about 5 minutes, and then I'm back in my office working. You know, whatever occurred to me growing up, I'm just not normal. You know, and that's okay. It took me a long time to be okay with it.
But is it that like they trigger you? Like kids being kids?
No, I'm an introvert. You know, I'm a true introvert, but I can put on the thing. You know, I can persuade any group. You know, one of the reasons I like being mayor is because there's always some controversy in a group that's opposed to me, and I could go in and bring them, guide them, pull them. You know, those are skill sets that you learn, and I like doing that, but it drains me. You know, the family's good with it. They understand. It doesn't mean I don't love them. You know, it's just Dad. That's what Dad does. You know, he hides in his office. You know.
But do you think that you're running away from something when you're? Because I wonder that about myself sometimes when I'm like, go, 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 work, work, work. Is it? And I actually talked to Joe Fried about this. Like, am I running away from something?
Or running towards.
Towards what?
Well, that's the big secret, isn't it? You know, the problem is people, you know, can be very successful, and then they get to where am at my stage of my life, and you look up and you say, "Is that all there is?" You know, that's what I'm dealing with now. Is that all there is? Oh, so that's what I'm dealing with now. Is that all there is? I know there is more, and that's what I'm searching for now. You know.
And what's the process like of searching for that?
New experiences. You know, what elongates time is novel experiences.
Really?
You know? What I mean by that is COVID went by so fast, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because we were bored silly. You know, I wasn't, because I was the mayor of a city and I was trying to
No, I think it's the other way around. I think when you're having fun, time goes by. And I think it's really unfair.
No, that's true too.
I think it's a cruel way that time goes by fast when you're enjoying something, but it goes slowly when you're bored. And I think it's cruel.
You know, you're right, but there's a nuance to it. You know, it's like when we look back at it.
Yes.
That's what's elongated with novel experiences.
What are some of the novel experiences that you're experiencing?
Well, you know, the AI has created, you know, a lot of excitement for me.
Do you chat with it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And my one of my goals now is to incorporate that into the office so that we're on the forefront of it. You know, that's exciting for me. The other thing that's exciting for me is to try cases with my kids. Yeah,
that must be so cool.
It is.
That must be the coolest thing in the world.
It is. It's unbelievably cool. And, you know, like I remember the one trial we did came in a huge amount. And every morning there's something going down, you know. Every morning there's some emotion, there's some crisis, you know. And I would say to them, we got up real early and had breakfast together. I would say to them, I don't know how, but I know by 4:30 this will have reversed itself and propelled us further, you know. And that's always what happened. And, you know, I mean, there's a magic that takes place in those courtrooms when you're united, you know, when you're committed to, you know, I don't know.
So 2 of your kids are lawyers?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Who's the other one?
Ashley, she has a firm in Ojai, very accomplished trial lawyer.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What type of law?
Personal injury. She does the same thing.
Did she ever work with you?
For a while.
Yeah. She didn't want to anymore?
There's a story, but she's really happy that she's not, because she did it without a safety net. You know,
That's cool.
she left the firm and had no safety net. I was not there to save her. I mean, it was a tumultuous leaving at the time. You know,
Good for her.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I wish I had handled that episode in our lives better, but I'm glad I didn't, because she is incredibly successful, incredibly fulfilled. You know, she knows how to live her life. She has 2 children. She has a apartment in Paris right underneath the Eiffel Tower that she spends half the year.
Will she let me stay there?
You got to meet her first, but it's vacant 6 months out of the year.
I'm teasing, but that's amazing.
If my wife and I are not there.
I'm kicking you out.
And she did that without any help from me. You know, I'm very proud of her.
What are your kids' ages?
Now?
Yes.
Ashley's 40. Alicia is 38. Rutger would be 35, and Cale is 34.
Cale definitely carries himself like he's old.
Yes.
Than a 34-year-old.
Yeah.
He gave me a really hard time. I think you should talk to him about it. I think he should be reprimanded by you. Yeah. I'm tattletelling.
Those kids are loving kids.
Oh, he was blast.
They are funny.
He was blast. Literally had so much fun.
I remember, you know, I set out to raise them to be lawyers, you know. Maybe.
But what would have happened if you have a 4th that doesn't want to be a lawyer, that isn't a lawyer?
Right.
What did they do?
She's the most stable one of the bunch.
What does she do?
She was the legislative analyst for the insurance commissioner in California, but then she married this guy who went to work for the State Department. And so they traveled around, you know, various embassies, China, Brazil, but he rose, and he's now a deputy director of the State Department.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever Blinken goes, he goes, you know, and he briefs them, and he's, you know, I'm so proud of him. You know, he's right in the thick of the things we see on the news. You know, he's there. You know, it's.
So you'll tell me all the secrets offline?
I try to get them to do that.
No.
But he's very
tight-lipped.
He's not very cooperative.
Really? We got to work on that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can't get him to crack, I don't know what will. So.
No, he does his job very well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a wonderful life.
Sounds like you're still having a wonderful life.
Now I'm enjoying that life.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So wait, tell me a little bit about this executive coach.
Oh, so I got this executive coach, you know, she walked up to me one day at Kayla in Vegas, you know, the lawyer's event. And next thing I know, I didn't think much of it at the time. But then she sent me an email, and I liked the email.
You literally got sold by an email?
Yeah.
Wow, you're giving every vendor in this space so much hope.
You've got to know how to write the email.
Can you forward me this email?
Huh?
I need to see this email.
I think I might still have it. She, you know, she came up and she was talking to me. I was with Cale. And I don't know why I said it, but it was appropriate to say it. You know, I said, because of a question she asked. And I said, you don't know who I am, do you? I know how arrogant that sounds, but it wasn't at the time. And she told me, no, who are you? And I go, okay, just a lawyer. I just wondered, you know. Then I get this email. Well, I found out who you are. You know? It was it was an intriguing email. So I picked up the phone, I called her, and that was our first session. It went on for 2 hours. You know?
I need one of these sessions.
Huh?
I need to call her.
She's amazing. Amazing.
This is crazy. So what is she, like, what is that like? What does she help you with?
Just about everything. Yeah. She keeps me on track. She, you know, these are the 4 things that I will accomplish in the next 5 years. And then she keeps me on track, you know? One of the things I want to do is I want to put all of this in a book, you know?
You're writing a book?
Yeah. And so you know, I've got to write a couple pages every morning. Otherwise she gives me a hard time.
And and is it a book for the legal space or a book for anyone?
It's still evolving, but what I want to see is the metaphor will be the courtroom, but it really is about life. You know, I just believe that we are capable of so much more than we do, you know, and it's just skill sets. And I could not walk through the cafeteria in high school. Could not do it. It was too socially frightening to me to do, you know? And look at me now. It's because I learned discrete skills. There's very little I can't do.
I think it's hard to walk through the cafeteria when you're little, though. Even a teen, I think.
Really?
You
don't think that was unusual then?
I think everybody goes through that to some extent. I definitely think that school is harmful to humans in many ways.
It certainly was to me.
It was to me too. It was to most people that I've talked to about this. My kids are homeschooled right now. I don't know if they always will be, but they are right now. And I noticed a shift in them right away. Less angry, less upset, happier, more confident, more at ease with themselves. I think that if kids are going to be in school, there really needs to be a lot of adult involvement in feelings and social interactions. And a lot of things happen where there are no adults. So many things are said.
Yes. And it's happening more because of social media. Jonathan Haidt just wrote a book on
yes.
The biggest cause of death of teenagers is suicide.
Yeah.
Suicide.
And you know what I know who you're talking about. I think was he on Joe Rogan's podcast?
I don't know. I've met him at different conferences.
I think it's him. And didn't he? You can tell me. He said that when kids are interviewed, they would be happier without social media, but they don't want to miss out.
That's right.
So if everybody just wouldn't have social media, they'd be better off. That's something that really scares me.
I just went through an election. I have been reelected 5 times. This was my 6th election.
Congrats.
No, it was brutal. It was brutal.
But you wanted to stay.
I did win. And it cost me $600,000 to do that. In a relatively, it's a mid-sized city. Yeah, the last election was like 60,000.
Wow.
You got these groups, these right-wing and left-wing groups that have captured both parties. They use social media in ways that are so destructive. And I was engaged in it. And finally, my wife told me that you can get off social media or you can find a new house. Because it was having that effect on me, right? So now I hire a company and they're me. They handle everything, they respond, they do it all. Most people don't have that option.
Excuse my ignorance, how many years when you're elected? It's for how many years?
It was initially 2, but then we changed the ordinance. I mean, we did an initiative and made it 4 years.
Okay.
Without term limits. And I've been mayor 16 years, and I got another 4-year term, which I'm going to use for the succession.
That's crazy. It's a long time.
Yeah.
What do you get to do as mayor?
Well, this was the city I was born in, and it was essentially becoming a slum. The gangs had taken over. The downtown had become a cesspool. I mean, it was terrible. I rebuilt the downtown. I incarcerated 20,000 gang members in 1 year. They were using pit bulls to scare everybody. We picked up 2,000 pit bulls. We cleaned it up. I called it a war on gangs, and I went to war, and they lost. We dropped gang violence 84%. We dropped burglaries 37%. We went from 25 murders down to 0 in 2 years. It's now creeped back up because you can't get law enforcement. We're 50% down on law enforcement. So I'm putting in a massive level of technology, which is beginning to work. Last year we were the only city in the world to have 100% solve rate on every homicide. 100%. The national average is 52%. We're the first net zero city in the world. I'm a true believer in climate extinction. And we make a lot of money on alternative energy. I mean, the city was broke when I was elected. Now we have more money than we know what to do with.
And you never wanted to keep going with politics?
I do very well with the jurisdiction. The city, I can make decisions. I can throw a parade if I want. I can do that in only 2 other positions. It'd be governor or president.
You didn't want to?
I don't want to have to do what I would have had to do to get there.
What was that?
I'd have to go into Congress. I'd have to, I'd have to work with people I don't want to work with. I've been mayor 16 years, and I've never lost a vote. Not ever. I don't know anybody that can say that in political offices. I couldn't do that in the state assembly. I couldn't do that on the board of supervisors,
And there's no conflict between you having your law firm and being mayor?
Lawyers are supposed to be engaged with their community. They're supposed to be politically involved. Do you ever hear of Alexander Hamilton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kids can sing all of the songs from the Broadway.
Wasn't that a great musical?
Oh, they love it so much. It actually drives me insane. I've heard it way too many times. We've watched it, they want to go to New York every 6 months to watch it. And it just came to Miami and we missed it.
You have to do the New York show.
We've done it twice.
Oh, you've done it twice.
We've done it twice. I don't even want to do it again.
I love that show.
I hear they hear the soundtrack on repeat. They can sing every song and then we took them, so they watched it once, and then they started listening to the musical on Spotify, and then we took them again, and they tried singing along, and we're like, no, you're not. You can't. You gotta be quiet.
You can't sing. Oh, that's
you
wonderful.
Can't sing alone.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I sent 50 kids one time to go see that. Because I knew it would change their life.
It's so good.
That musical will change lives in so many ways,
The room where it happens.
Hmm?
The room where it happens. We say that all the time as a joke. It's like the room where it happens.
I have been in those rooms many times.
It sounds like you have, yeah.
And trust me, it's always in a separate room.
It's not the room we think.
Well, the science of it is pretty clear. I mean, you pass all these laws about, we call it the Brown Act in California. Everything has to be in public, blah, 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 blah. And the truth of it is that every decision is made socially. Everyone. Except for in times of war or in times of crisis, like an earthquake, something like that, COVID. That's when it's actually made at the board or the city council level. So one of the first things I did when I got elected was I controlled the social agenda. If it was a city event, those people who were toxic, that always had were always gossiping, were always, bringing the city down, they were not invited. If it was a private event and you wanted the mayor to come, they better not be there. And everybody knew it. And there was a list. Now there's like 2 or 3 people on it.
But are there any other lawyers in our space that are mayors?
I know there have been. I don't know if there currently are, but they're usually city councilmen and rotate into mayor. We have a city where they elect the mayor.
Oh, got it. Because you're the only one I know of.
They rotate in and out,
But how do you have time for it all?
Well, you have very good people. Like I moved a lot of people out of the staff when I got elected and brought in better people. Right? I really don't have to spend much time.
Do you still try cases?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd rather try cases than anything else. Yeah.
It was a rhetorical question.
There's only one thing better than sex, and that's trial.
Oh, that's it. This is what we're going to call the podcast. There's only one thing better than sex, and that's trial.
Actually, it's cross-examining an expert and watching them crumble.
That's what we're calling this podcast.
Yeah. I'm most alive in the courtroom. Most alive. But I just surround myself with people smarter than me.
Do you believe it when you say that? I don't know that you believe it when you say that.
My son, both of them.
Okay, besides
significantly smarter than I am.
But that doesn't count because you.
My wife is the smartest person.
Okay, that also doesn't count because you chose her.
A lot of the people around me are smarter than I am. They are.
I don't believe it.
Well, it's true.
Maybe.
Now, it depends on how you define smart.
There we go.
Now, I'm usually, you know who the smartest man in the room is or woman in the room is?
No.
Always.
Who?
The one who reads the most books.
You think?
Yeah.
Why?
And that is usually me. Usually is.
What's your favorite book?
But intellectual power, I don't think mine is all that remarkable.
Still don't believe it, but what's your favorite book?
That's a tough question because I read so many books. The book I like the most is Fates and Furies. It's a novel. I've read it 4 times.
It's a novel. What's it about?
It's about a woman who falls in love with this guy. It's a typical type of love story, right? And just their life together and the different things I'm
going to read it.
She was essentially an orphan, she had to get through school.
Okay, what's the book that's had the most impact?
That's a hard one because I read so many things on cognitive science.
Is there a book that you're like, this one?
The one that probably the one that had the most impact was The Illusion of Conscious Will. And that was 20 years ago. The book now that's having the most impact is Determined by Robert Sapolsky out of Stanford. But another book that had so much impact on my life was Mindset for Success by Carolyn Dweck, because that taught me everything.
Oh, yeah. She talks about growth mindset.
Yes.
I talked to Kale about it on our podcast. He hasn't read it, though, but he doesn't need it. He has a growth mindset.
He was the recipient of it. Kale, straight A's in high school, he was always a little ADD type, you go to school without a shoe,
Yeah.
But he had this support structure.
Yeah.
That
I read it. It's a great book. I read it, and while I was reading it, I was like, oh, I don't need to read this, but I read it for one of my kids.
Yeah. It's changed the way you raise the kids.
Absolutely. Because
Kale gets kicked out of Illinois, University of Illinois, gets kicked out, 1/2 unit. I paid $50,000 for that unit, half unit. And I read that book during that period of time. He goes to Pepperdine. And so I quit praising how smart he was, how good he was, how cool he was. Every time he had any success, it was, damn, you must have worked your butt off. Wow, you really worked hard for that. The next semester, he got the highest grade in Mandarin, which I think has to be the hardest class you could take. Totally turned him around. I didn't think it would work on an adult, but now I know it does. I do it with most of my staff. I never talk about what a great job they did. I talk about how hard they work.
That's amazing. So you're going to love this. So my 11-year-old was just born bright. It's just like luck of the draw, right?
Quit saying that.
No, wait. Oh, I don't say it to him.
Okay.
No. So he takes a lot of pride in these things that come easy to him. And so he'll be like, oh, look, I got an A. And I'm like, did you work hard for it? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not impressed.
Perfect.
I'm like, bring me something that you worked hard for,
right,
and I'll be impressed. Because if you are just naturally good at something, that's luck. You got lucky. Think the universe, God, whatever. I don't force anything on him, whatever he wants to believe in. That's not impressive to me. Do something and fail and go back and succeed, and then I'm proud.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
yeah.
I love, now when I do depositions and cases, there's 6 lawyers across the table. Used to be just one-on-one, but now, they bring out the guns. And they're always waving their Harvard degrees at me, and we destroy them. And the reason is because to get to Harvard, you don't take risks. You don't take classes you can fail. You only take classes you can succeed at. Their creativity is sucked out of them before they ever get to law school, It's and the first thing I'll do is when they wave those degrees at me is I'll go, wow, that's impressive. I didn't even graduate from high school. You went to Harvard. Wow.
You feed their ego.
Huh?
You feed their ego.
No, that's not what I'm doing.
No, but then it calms them down because now they're thinking they're great.
No.
So what are you doing?
They know who I am. And then, they'll do something else and I'll go, wow, I went to Southwestern, and I got through by the skin of my teeth, Now, no matter what I do, I'm not defending anything. I'm not defending a title. I'm not defending, they are afraid to object because they might be wrong.
That's hilarious.
They're afraid to do anything. And also, most of them work by the hour, so they really don't study persuasion. They don't study cognitive science. I get up at 4:00 every morning to this day, and I still study it every single day. I know that if I sit this way taking a deposition, you will turn and be on my side before it's over. It always happens, right? If we sit across from each other, now we're adversaries. You only sit this way with friends, The visuals make all the difference. The problem with it is it's actually 90 degrees is how I sit. And, I almost have to because I have poor hearing in my left ear. So, they have to be on my right side. But I also know.
Do you want to switch?
No, it's okay. We will bond, Now, the problem with that is if they're the opposition, I will ultimately betray them. I'm there to hurt them. I'm not there to help them, the opposition. And I feel guilty for it.
Why?
Because I bonded with them. It works both ways. We decide who to like and dislike based on the visuals, not what they say.
You think?
I know so. I don't have any doubt.
Just the visuals.
You got to have the language just to communicate, but that's not the attraction.
But see, everyone always tells me that I'm like, I always cross my arm, I cross my legs, I cross my arms. I'm always cold. And people complain about that. Does that affect you?
You're wearing a skirt, you almost have to cross your legs,
Thank
right?
you. Thank you. But what about my arms?
I don't read all that much into it. Sometimes you cross your arms because that's a comfortable way to sit.
Yes.
And especially with this microphone is heavy.
It is heavy, right?
And you're using it
Thank
to
you,
hold
Rex.
it up.
You guys heard it. For all of you that say.
It's just one, it's the combination of everything that tells me.
Okay, what's the biggest, and then we can wrap up, but what's the biggest persuasion trick or thing that you've learned? Like the number one, if you could only do one thing.
First of all, they're not tricks.
Well, whatever you want.
They're skills.
Skills, perfect.
That you teach your children whether you know it or not. The biggest one is the eye contact.
How much eye contact? Because they say too much can be harmful, too little is harmful.
If you want to have them pay attention, it's 2 seconds. If you want to have an emotional response, it's 4. Anything after that, you're in danger zone of being a creep. Now, it took a lot of work to be able to make eye contact so you're comfortable with it, right?
I think I could do it.
But
4
I'm there.
seconds.
I'm the mayor. You want me to make eye contact with you when I walk down the street. They want me to smile at you. I'm not hitting on you. I'm the mayor, right? So I had the ability to practice.
I'm going to practice this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
women have to be a little more careful.
So less than 4 seconds?
No, you got to be careful with men because they'll think you're giving them an invitation.
Yeah, nobody's going to think that. I'm very cold.
Men do not approach women without an invitation. And
I'm aware.
usually it's the smile or the eye contact.
Yeah, but I'm also
Well,
known to.
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying be aware of the risks out there.
I'm in this space. You think I'm not aware? I'm very aware, Rex. Very.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's books on it. You know, this one guy, I forget his name right now, wrote a book on just eye contact. You know, but what he would do is he would throw these parties. You had to pay to come to them. But the first hour was spent, everybody just spending 2 to 4 minutes in eye contact, right? Everybody. You had that experience with everybody. Those parties were the most fun. People would pay to come back. Because that's where the connection is. Every study they have done with it has reaffirmed that. And so how well I can make eye contact with you, this gesture I'm using, took 6 months, so you couldn't see it.
Did you learn it from Dan Ambrose?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Dan learned that from me. He still hasn't perfected it. Yeah. Because you see it, right?
But he teaches a connection course. You know, he teaches a connection course.
I haven't taken it, so I don't know how well he does.
It would be comical if he took it. Can you take it, please? Just for my amusement. And I want to come watch Dan yell at you. He yells at people.
I'm aware.
It's very funny. I've been.
I'm aware.
I had to leave because I couldn't stop laughing.
I'm aware.
I got kicked out.
Dan has done something truly phenomenal.
Yeah.
Everybody was collapsing during COVID. He turned it into an industry.
No. You know what I think what he did that was like, wow?
What?
He has all of you working for him for free.
No. A lot of these guys pay.
That's the worst part. They work for him and they pay to sponsor the conference.
Listen,
He's outsmarting us all.
I love to teach, and I love to teach lawyers. And the more lawyers we get who are competent, the greater chance we have to survive as a nation.
Oh.
I really believe that.
I don't disagree with you. But kudos to Dan for capitalizing on your goodwill and everybody else's goodwill.
Well, we get paid.
I know. I'm just teasing Dan because we have to.
It is genius when you think about it.
It's so genius.
And they fly from all over the country to do it.
No, and then he has them working. And they're mad at him half the time, and they're still doing it.
I know.
Isn't
I know. They are mad at him.
Oh, all righty. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For doing this, like, literally last minute. You're like, I'll record. I'm like, right now? You're like, sure.
I enjoyed it.
Those are the best ones, in my opinion. Thank you so much to Rex for everything he shared with us today. If you found this story valuable, please share it with someone you want to see succeed. Subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way to help others discover the show.